Hello and welcome back to my channel, Talented Reads. So today's video, I wanted to go through a TBR that I have for the Magical Readathon. The Magical Readathon is a magical place that G over on the BookTube channel, the Book Roast, she's created this amazing, fantastical world, and we are returning for our autumn equinox studies, and I, of course, have a bunch of books lined up to read, and it looks pretty daunting, but I'm feeling confident. Yeah, let's go with that word for now. So I wanted to go through all of what I'm doing and the prompts that I have and the books that I'm reading for that. Now, as far as my calling, I am continuing as a necromancer. I finished what I needed to read for the spring equinox, so now we are in the autumn equinox. Now, if you're kind of new to this, let me zoom in here real quick. So the real difference between the spring equinox and the autumn equinox is that the autumn equinox, you actually have to get to these grade levels. So O is ordinary, Q is qualified, and D is distinguished. So, for example, the one for O is kind of the first level, so you only need to read one book. But, for example, like D is the third level, so I would actually need to read 3 books. I have to also finish O and Q in order to get my D level, right? And then Q is the second level, so I would need to read 2 books for that. So while it doesn't look like a whole lot, by the time you add up, right, these multiple tiered ones, you end up with, I think there's 8 books total. So let's go through that with the syllabus that I have. And then, as always, there's a quest that I'm going to participate in. And then this semester, which is a little different than what she's done before, there's some like extra studies that you can do that I'm, of course, going to participate in because I have to do everything. So we'll go over what that is and the prompts for that. So yeah, let's jump right into it. Alright, so first is animal studies, and I only have to reach the first level for that, and which is the O level, and that is Introduction to Domestic Creatures, and the prompt for that is a pet pick. Now, watching other videos, the way that they do this is they just lay books down with treats, and then you have your pet come, and whatever one they go to first is the one that you have to read. I don't have a pet, so I enlisted my friend's dog. So Scout is her name, and she picked a book for me. I will insert the picture here. So thank you, Michelle, for letting me borrow your dog. And the book that was picked is All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. And I've heard some really good stuff about this. I think it is a debut novel. And there's a true crime podcast called Crime Junkie, and I think the host of that is Ashley Flowers, so this is her kind of debut novel. But I think it's about like a journalist that, of course, uncovers like her hometown secret, and she becomes obsessed with an unsolved murder of a neighbor, I guess. So I've heard it was pretty good mystery thriller. I follow a couple people on Instagram who just raved about it, so I'm really interested in reading this one, and good pick, Stout. So next course is Spells and Incantations, and I have to get to the Q level, which is the second level, so I have to read 2 books. So first, for the first level is a charm, which is a short trip, and the prompt is to read a manga, comic, or graphic novel. I have a bunch of graphic novels that I've read, and although I like reading them, it's just not something that I pick. However, I've been really wanting to get into Ginger Ito, so this is my opportunity to do that. So I don't have the book with me, but it is on hold at Barnes & Noble. So I am choosing to read Uzumaki, I believe is how you pronounce it. And what I know about this is I think it's about a Japanese town. I don't know if everybody is obsessed or if the town is cursed with these spirals. Yeah, so I'm intrigued. I'm excited to finally get to it. It is a manga. It's pretty large, but I'm hoping, because it's a manga, I can kind of read through it quickly. So I'm a little nervous about putting a 700-page book on my TBR, but for now, we're gonna roll with it. So my Q level for Spells and Incantations is the Incantation for Black Flame, which is a book with a black cover or a fire on the cover, and I chose The Whistling by Rebecca Netley. 1, because it has a pretty black cover, and 2, it actually has both because there's a little flame there, so I thought that was very fitting. I don't know if I'll get points for having both of them, but that's okay. I believe this is set in the, I think, 1900s or something. But it is supposed to be a really excellent kind of gothic ghost story. So, looking forward to it. Again, I've heard some really good things about it. Okay, next course is Conjuration. I have to get to the D level, which is the 3rd level, so I have to read 3 books for this course. And O is Ghostly Etiquette, so it's to read a court royal book. So I picked Immortal Longings by Chloe Dawn. I struggled with this one because I don't read a lot of royalty court books, mainly because those are typically high fantasy and I just don't read a lot of fantasy. However, I'm really interested in reading this one. It's Chloe Dawn's debut adult novel. I've read a few of her young adult novels, and this one, I believe it's inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. And I think it's about a game that's set in this kingdom, and as far as the royalty, I think the main character is a princess, so I'm counting it. For the Q is Spirit Communications, and the prompt is a book inspired set in a different culture or country than yours. And I picked The Third Hotel by Laura Vanderberg. This is set in Cuba. And from what I understand, the main character is a widow who travels to this hotel in Cuba to kind of come to terms with her husband's death and heal However, when she gets to the hotel, she actually sees her husband. So I think this book it's kind of short, but it's about, I don't know if it's about her, like, tracking him down. I'm assuming there's maybe a little sci-fi undertone to it. So I've, again, heard some things. I've heard it's very weird, so I'm intrigued. And then last for the D level conjuration is Free Spirit, and that is to read an indie or self-published book, and I picked Shockwaves by Matt Kurtz. This is definitely, I believe it is self-published, or if not, I guess it's by Umbria Press, but it's definitely an indie published book. So now this one, this cover just totally made me think of 80s, and I love it. And of course, these are ginormous spider eyes, and I hate spiders, but I mean, that's kind of cute. So I think this one is about, I guess there's people at this amusement park, and I think there's like an explosion that happens at like a construction site nearby that knocks the power out, and so there's all these people like stranded at this amusement park, and I think these like mutant bugs end up invading the amusement park or something. I don't know, but I saw it on Instagram and I had to have it, and I'm happy I was finally able to stick it somewhere on my TBR because I've been dying to read it. Okay, next course is Restoration, and that is an O level, so only one book for that, and that is Induced Sleep, and that is to read a book before bed. I mean, obviously this is an easy one, you could literally pick any book for this, but I've kind of scoured my shelf, and this one caught my eye. I've had it on my TBR shelf for a while now, so I just decided to go with this one. After Alice Fell, I believe is set, I want to say during the 1800s, and this girl, Marion, is summoned to an asylum to pick up the body of her sister, and her sister was found dead after falling off the roof, and they've officially ruled it as a suicide, but our main character believes it wasn't suicide, it was more like a murder. And so the story is kind of about her uncovering what happened to her sister. So the cover always intrigued me. Alright, and lastly for my courses is Demonology. And that is the O level, so I only have to read one book for that. And that is Introduction to Low-Level Demons, and the prompt is to read the first book you see on Instagram, Goodreads, or any other social media platform. So I just scrolled through Instagram. I was trying to find a book that, one, I already owned, that is on my TBR shelf. Obviously something that I don't have to reread. And so I ended up scrolling through Instagram. I'll put that video up. And the picture I finally ended up going with, and that was Death in the Family by Tessa Wedder. I think that's how you say that. I believe this is, I think they said it was like perfect for fans of Knives Out, which I think that's a movie. I don't know that I've ever seen it, but it was something like a storm island, like they're all stuck on the island. They find this body, and then someone's missing. And so there's an investigator. I don't know if he's already on the island or he's called out to the island. And so he tries to kind of like uncover. And then there's something about like murder being a part of the family or something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm intrigued. I originally saw this from her Instagram handle is Crime by the Book. She reads a lot of crime novels, and so I originally picked this up because of her recommendation. And then I was scrolling through and saw it posted again, and yeah, so I decided to pick it up and read it, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I want to say this is supposed to be, I don't know if it's supposed to be a series, but anyways, it's book 1, so I don't know if the second book is like out now, but I guess when I get to the end, if I decide to keep reading, I'll figure it out then. Alright, so that is it for my course studies for my necromancer calling for the autumn equinox. Next, I want to go over the extra studies that is new this year, and there are 4, and so she dividing it into like qualifications and opportunities, and so there are 2 qualifications, which is basically like a certification and a license, and then 2 opportunities, which are just to further your knowledge in a certain subject. So, the 2 qualifications are a dragon riding license and a Star Sand Ship Engineer certification. And then the 2 opportunities are a bog cataloger and an apothecary keeper. And the requirements for these are to pretty much read something and then do something. So there's like a book and an action. So I, of course, because I'm me and I have to do everything, so I am going to be doing 1 qualification and 1 opportunity. So for the qualification, of course, I chose to do the dragon riding license because, I mean, who doesn't want to know how to ride a dragon, right? So the requirements actually for this one, of course, was to read 2 books with dragons. And I, of course, was like, oh man, I don't have any books with dragons, but I actually found a couple on my shelf, which was surprising. So the first one that I picked is When We Were Dragons, or When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. The only thing that I heard about this, which just that alone, I was like sold when I originally picked it, is about like women who are transforming into dragons, which sounds just so intriguing. So I picked that. And then the second book is A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan, which I think this is a fictional book meant to read like a memoir by Lady Trent. And I think it's literally just like, it's just supposed to be an anthropologist or something, and it's like her fictional memoir about dragons, I guess. So there's a whole set of these. I've kind of always been intrigued by them. This is the first one in the Lady Trent series. I've had it on my shelf for quite a while, so I'm excited to get to these. Now, you could also be saying, Donna, what about the famous Fourth Wing? So here's the deal. I literally, when this first kind of came on the internet, I had no interest in reading this because I'm not a fantasy reader, and then I just kept seeing it everywhere and everybody was like raving about it, and so I did buy into the hype for it. I picked it up. I'm going to be reading it with a bunch of friends. It does look like a really cool book, and I understand it does have dragons in it. At the time when I originally picked my books, I wasn't sure if we were going to be reading this or not. I think, in talking with my buddies who are going to be reading it with me, I think we decided we are going to read it in August. So at this point, it is a contender to read and knock out one of these books and read that instead, since I'm reading it anyways. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, but yeah, I have some dragon options. My action for this is to watch a movie or a show with a dragon, which, you know, obviously like Game of Thrones comes to mind, but I think I want to pick a movie, and I don't have a movie in mind yet, so we'll come to that when we'll pick it when we come to that. Alright, so next is The Opportunity, and I picked a bog cataloger just because it was something different. And my character likes to go out in nature, so I thought that would be a good choice. So my requirements is to read a book by the water or a book that has a body of water on the cover. So I picked The Swell by Ali Reynolds, which obviously that has water on the cover. And I think all I know about this is there's a group of like elite surfers, and one girl like used to be part of the group and isn't any longer, and then there are members of the group who go missing, and so she decides to infiltrate the group again and be a part of everything. So I thought it was interesting to combine a mystery with surfing, so yeah, I'm intrigued. And then lastly is the quest for the Magical Readathon, which last semester for the spring equinox, the quest was around the professor for astronomy. And so this year she picked a quest for a new professor, which was the professor for demonology, which is very exciting because obviously with me being a necromancer, I'm very much involved with that professor. This quest is a little simpler than the last quest, and this is basically to summon an impling. And the way that it works is you have to go around the circle and connect each of these blue dots. And at each dot is a prompt. And so you have to find a book, one that has all the prompts, or like as you move from prompt to prompt, a book that like has both of those, right? And so once you close everything, then that's when your inkling is summoned. So I managed to scour my shelf and actually find a book, one book that covers all the prompts. So let's review this together to make sure I'm not losing my mind. So the first prompt here is a book that's between 400 and 450 pages. And I believe when I checked this, yes, it was 406 pages, so that counts. There's one letter that appears twice in the title, and I saw O, so there's my two O's. It was released this year or last year, and I believe, yep, this was released 2023. There is blue on the cover, and it says any amount, and we are hitting the blue with the water that's on the cover. The next prompt is to start at night, which I think is kind of like a free one, so we'll just make sure we do that. And then this one is to read from an author that you've read from before. And Dean Koontz is an author that I'd read from before. So that hits all of the prompts. I'm very happy I managed to do it with one book. It is thicker, but that's okay. We're just gonna roll with it. So that is everything for the Magical Readathon. We've got some really good books in the lineup. So I'm looking forward to starting everything. This technically starts in August, but I think because we broke our record last time for the semester, we were allowed to start early, but I'm still trying to catch up on finishing August, or finishing July, so I'm just going to start August 1st, and I'll probably do a reading vlog, reading everything, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's my TBR. Drop a comment below and let me know if you're going to participate in the Magical Readathon and what books you might have on your TBR. Maybe let me know if you've read any of these, what you thought about them. Yeah, maybe you want to read along with me. And that's it for today's video. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.